Just check that, as usual, everything is actually working, because never normally likes to. First time streaming this too, so we'll see. Okay, yes, we do have a visual, I think. See if I can move that around a bit. Okay, hopefully that's all displaying there then. Alright. Let's just kick into it. Playing with an Xbox controller too, which I'm unused to, so this is basically my first time playing it on PC, so I mean we'll see. See how it goes.
This Bandicoot will be my general. He will lead my Cortex commandos to world domination. This time, I shall reign triumphant. We are closer than ever before. Quickly, into the vortex. Dr. Cortex, the vortex is not ready. We have no idea what it could do. Failure again. Capture him.
I just love how expressive the animations are.
Prepare the female Bandicoot.
Okay, so yeah, we'll just get into the first level. So I'm aiming for 100% on stream, but I don't know if I'll do it with any fantastic speed. I mean, we'll see. I just have to get used to the to the Xbox controller. I'm such a PlayStation gamer. It feels very strange. Okay. Controls all smoothly. I think I just need to get used to the sensitivity of the stick. I think is what I'm going to have to look out for. Alright. So, yep, first level, nice and easy. Shouldn't pose any challenge, hopefully. If I die here, I think I'll just put the stream away. Be like, thanks, I'm done. Okay. And then, I mean, the strategy to use here is to do this. Or it would be if I didn't suck, apparently. There we go. And there'll be another 2 down here. 1, 2. And then that's the last one there. Yay. Off to a good start. But quite a few of the levels in this game will need revisiting. Okay, here we go. So I can't. That means I can't get 100% on the first run through. But it's been so long since I've played, this particular version anyway, that I've forgotten all the bits I need to backtrack. But hopefully that's something I'll figure out sooner rather than later. You know. Can't remember if this is one of the levels, because this is basically Crash Bandicoot has like themed levels. So sometimes you get a couple of the same kind of level. And this has another level which definitely needs backtracking, but I can't remember if this level needs backtracking or not. Kind of missed when I'm playing the other ones, kind of missed the simplicity of this one, you know? Oh yeah, that one. So this level does need backtracking, and there's a trick that I could have used to get up there, but I had my triple mask on, so that's fine. We'll just return later in the game and do it normally. So yeah, the movement in this game, I wrote about it just the other day, but there's something very. I really like the simplicity of the game's mechanics and moveset. I think there's something to be said for, at least at the beginning of a franchise, you know, keeping your platformer simple and designing your levels around those mechanics as best you can. And that in the original game, that would have been your save point. So you sort of had to reach those bits to get a save point or to get your password, because you could either save it onto your little 1 MB memory card, or you could get a password and write that down on a little sheet of paper. I think I still have a couple of those at home in the other room. Yeah, it's kind of surreal, really, to be playing a game that is has been so talked about, that is still really, like, it contains a lot of joy still to this day, even if you sort of pick apart the level design. So this is another. You'll notice that this first island is not particularly taxing. It's only until the last level of this island that you sort of really encounter any resistance, and that's in was it the other kind of this level, the fortress? I forget the name of it now. But yeah, the big fortress version of this level is basically the game's first difficulty spike. So this level again is still sort of just easing you into it. You'll notice there's a lot more enemies, but the side-scrolling nature of it means that we don't really have to. We can sort of tackle it at our own pace, you know. That's exactly what we want to be doing, because this game wasn't designed around moving too quickly. Obviously, you can do it, but oh, my bad. But the fact that his moveset is so simple also meant the developers had to design levels that encouraged a bit more patience. And levels that encourage a bit more patience aren't really conducive to a good play experience in terms of speed running through it, which is, a lot of people have problems with the fact that the people who remastered it, Vicarious Visions, that they added in time trial relics into not just this one, but the second and third one. The second one as well, whereas only originally the third one was the game that introduced the time trial relics, and as such, that game is the one that's actually designed around it. But yeah, this one is not so much designed around it, so you have to get really lucky in terms of the cycles that you see. So all the obstacles basically run on this cycle, as I'm sure you'll be able to see. The skunk and Crash Twinsanity, back and forward, back and forward. So all the obstacles, basically, if you're going for the really good relics, the golds and the platinums, what you're gonna want, like, simply, you're gonna want to start on a good cycle, and sometimes that means that you're just gonna get unlucky and die. I remember when I speedrun this on the PlayStation, when I remember that there were a couple of levels that were just insufferable for that. I think the lab, which is the last level, was the worst one, and it's not because that level is particularly hard normally, because, as I said, the game encourages patience. Can't believe I missed that. The game encourages patience, right? But that level speedrun has so many different cycles you have to keep track of, that getting the right thing is almost impossible, to be honest. It's so hard. Yay, another gem. Yeah, so those are some classic levels, the Boulder ones. I realize I should be talking about the level I'm actually on. Upstream levels are good, nice and simple, but yet hazardous platforming, landing on lots of narrow platforms. And these platforms here, they sink. So, but not all of them do. So you can just sit and wait for your cycle to come around. Jump, jump. Yep, 5. So they didn't used to be 5, did they, in the original release of the game? I still don't think they did. I think it used to be a weirder number, but the people who remastered it, again, they changed that to fit with the later games in the trilogy. Careful platforming here. Just got to make it over these jumps. Okay. Hop, hop, hop. So yeah, this level as well. We need, so there's 2 boxes underneath this log, and we needed colored gem to get that. So no luck on that front today, or for now anyway. Might as well just do all these bonus levels though, because I know I'll have to do them again, but they're nice and fun. Precision platforming. And they always give us another couple of lives, and it's always helpful to stock up on as many lives as possible for when I may need them in the later levels, depending on how badly it goes. But yeah, these are the levels where you just stock up on everything that you need. So yep, and we're missing another box past this area too, I think. No, there's 3 boxes. Tragedy. Okay, is the next one the boss fight? Yes, it is. So Papu Papu, the first boss fight and one of the easiest in the series, which is good because you wouldn't want to start with a really difficult one. So Crash goes into his hut for some reason, and we've got to just dodge his simple spinning attacks, and then jump on his head. So there is an easier way to do this by jumping on the chair, but I'll do it in the legitimate way, yeah. So yeah, he's particularly ineffective. I know on the YouTube soundtrack video for this fight, a lot of people are like, "Wow, the song is 2 minutes long." I didn't even realize, because he's so easy to defeat. Oh, that was embarrassing. Got hit once. Glitched into his belly there. Interesting. Of course, yep. Nice and easy. We'll zoom on to the Rolling Stones level now. I think this level, yeah, look, it even says on the unlock a new path burning the blue gem elsewhere, so we'll need to get the blue gem before we can come back here and do this level properly. Or do this level to 100%, I mean. Okay. Hey! Yeah, good. Just unwinding, basically. I've been running myself ragged for the last couple of weeks for something that didn't even pan out, so... But now I've got time to actually do some streaming and make my next analysis video, which is good. And I can blow all these up safely. Zoom through here. Okay, so we want to carefully maneuver myself. Is there something up here? I think there is. Yeah. The newest game in the series is particularly notorious for that. Hiding boxes off screen, I mean. Yeah, it is. It's very nice to be back streaming. So I figured I'd choose this game, which is a very old favorite of mine, to get back into streaming with. I'll just go for 100% because make a nice challenge. But yeah, later in the week, I do plan to do another Pathologic stream as well. because I don't even think I'm halfway through that playthrough yet. It's been a lot of fun though playing that on stream. Because goodness knows I've played enough of that game. Uh, I would have thought to some degree I'd be sick of it, but just like this game, I don't think it works that way. And playing it on stream as well is very revitalizing. Oh, back from vacation. Nice. Isn't it? Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How um, vacation can tire you out so much. I'm basically just getting into a little vacation now, so hopefully this will be the extent of my exhaustion levels. Just sitting here and playing this. This is an on rails level, the hog level. So I'm not pushing him forward. I just run and jump, run to the side and jump. Jump. Oh, so many historical sites. Where did you go, by the way? That sounds really cool. It's my first death too. I can't believe it. Left. Jump. Jump. Sorry, intense focus. I get the gem yesterday. Massachusetts, Boston, Concord, Salem. Wow, that sounds really cool. There's something here. There's so many cool places, cool historical sites that I want to travel around the world and see. Um, what with COVID, it's obviously a bit trickier, but absolutely. I I have a list of of destinations that I need to go to, and yeah, all of those cemeteries sound like a worthy destination. It's history, though, I suppose, isn't it? But yeah, with COVID, it's very hard to travel. Literary buffs, Freedom Trail, but also all the writers' graves and houses. Yeah, that's fantastic. To visit locations of historical literary interest is very 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 cool. To see where other artists have done their work, and that sort of thing. I think I find that idea very inspiring. Um, to sort of yeah, you can see where works of genius were made, or works of complete inanity. Which depends which artist you're going to see, I suppose. Oh, gotcha. Super cool about COVID. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think there's definitely you're seeing a bit more relaxed approach. I think from a lot of people, because understandably, I think everyone's pretty tired of constant pandemic alertness mode. But there's also a lot more, I guess, understanding from people about what works and what doesn't. So yeah, wearing masks and stuff in close quarters is really what you need, like indoors and that sort of thing. But as long as they have lots of big open areas to go to as well, that's cool. Makes all the difference. I think it can be tricky to work or spend the whole day in your mask. Jump. Looks all the time for wearing masks. Very discouraged. Yeah, that's a shame. Um, Certainly, yeah. I mean, it's pretty tricky because you're doing that for everyone's benefit, really. Wearing a mask, not just your own. Like if you have a cold, it's in your best interest to wear a mask, and but that's a shame. Yeah, nice not to be nice not to be judged for wearing a mask. No, I won't bother going for that mask. It'll just slow me down. Okay. There's a secret area behind here, if I'm careful. Yeah. So just follow this along. I like how you can see his head pop up every now and then. Cool, so that skips, yeah, a big section of the level there. Would recommend Hawthorne's house. He disliked people and went around at midnight to avoid them. I highly respect that. Yeah. That's dedication, really. It's like, no, I will only leave the house in the dead of night. I've heard these vampire guys are pretty lonely, so don't make much contact. So I'll try that as well. I don't think I could handle sleeping during the day, though. I'm not a night shift person. If there's any light on in the room, it's a no from me. So something I didn't know about this level for the longest time is that I didn't notice that you can just jump on this and avoid it. I thought you had to take a mask hit basically on here with Aku Aku, but you don't. You can safely jump on there. I don't know why I never noticed that until I think the first time I played through this game, this version. But lo and behold, much easier. Oops. Before Industrial Revolution, people regularly woke up at night, slept, woke up, hung out a few hours, and slept again. Yeah, I mean, that sounds right. There's certainly less in terms of like farming and whatnot, and if you're in a small town, it'd make a lot of sense to do that sort of thing because no one's really holding you to a schedule, right? You sort of set your own schedule if you're the local tailor or something like that. You have like 2 appointments tomorrow or something with other people, but you don't really have to worry about it beyond that. So you can sort of be like, well, I'll get a quick nap and then get up for a few hours, see some people. Sounds like a nice, relaxing way to live. I suppose. I think maybe it's the whole schedule thing. I'd feel too pressured in terms of the schedule. Maybe if there was less stuff to worry about during the day, right? That might be something that's preventing me from sleeping during the day. Maybe that's what's going on. Take that, monkey. Okay. Can't remember. Is this a level I need the gem for? I always forget. We'll see. So you made it through the first island already. Gonna try and make it all the way to the end of the game in this stream. To be honest, would be fantastic. Oh, that's. Would you? Yeah. So this version. I mean, if you love the original and that's what you're happy with, stick with that because I love the original as well. And it's still a hugely, hugely important game to me. This game, I mean, you can look at the graphics and see that obviously it is sort of a step up, but I still think the original PS1 graphics actually still do a very good job of carrying out the lushness very well. There are a few quality of life improvements. The game itself is made less difficult to 100% complete in terms of like color gem requirements and that sort of thing, being less strict in terms of deaths. Um, but I'm trying to think what else they've. So the other big difference is that Crash is in the original. Crash had I think a rectangular shaped hitbox, but in this version he's got a like a pill shaped hitbox. So that means he slides off of things a bit more easily. Oh my goodness. So that in some respects they made the game. What am I doing? They made the game easier, but they also inadvertently made the game just a touch harder. So I would absolutely recommend it because it's nice to have a version of the game that runs easily on modern systems or without. Like I would have loved to stream the original version of the game because that's the version I know best. But of course, that's what I should have done. Of course, I don't yet have any video cards or anything that would be good for streaming PlayStation One and that sort of thing. So I mean, yeah, if you were looking at the game and you were on the fence, I would recommend buying it simply because it's Crash Bandicoot. I can't not recommend Crash Bandicoot really, but probably on sale if you're already familiar with the original game. It's not like this version does anything radically different. It's just it's a good way to revisit the original. It still plays basically how you remember. There are a couple of as well. There are a couple of smaller little graphical, not graphical, like visual design changes. So like if you remember the slippery climb level, which is on the last island, which is sort of infamous for its difficulty. If you remember that level, uh, there's like in the original game, there's sort of like these dark-eyed sort of specters that like lunge out from behind prison bars to like get Crash. But in this version of the game, they're just sort of old men. Um, so there's sort of the spooky atmosphere, I guess, is actually kind of lost in the more modern reinterpretation. So there's another level like that. Cortex Power or Generator Room. I can't remember which one it is, but the one with Cortex on the televisions, that disappointingly has nowhere near the spooky atmosphere I remembered as a child when I first played this remake when it came out, which was, boy, 2016, wasn't it? Getting old. So Ripperoo is a good boss. He's much better than Papu Papu, the original boss, the boss we fought just before. So you just have to fry him with the TNT. I timed it wrong, but got him. And then basically you just have to look at his. So he develops a new pattern every time. It's classic boss behavior. They never branch off and do anything different. They have three patterns and they stick to it. Too slow. Try again with this one. Damn. Oh, that was close. There is actually a good strategy for beating him. There's like a guaranteed spot I should be touching the TNT, obviously, but it's been so long. So normally the TNT should stick in place when you jump on it, but I caught that TNT in the middle of its movement cycle, so it did keep moving. You infuriating kangaroo. Zooming through the rest of the game, and here I am just stuck on Ripperoo. How embarrassing. I like the music though. The music, yeah, they remastered the music as well. So I mean, it depends how much you like the original stuff, because obviously the original stuff is a lot more stripped back. Whereas this one, they've added a lot of cartoony sound effects, especially to the hog riding levels. They added a lot of sound effects to that one, which a lot of people love. See, how did I beat the third round like immediately, and then the second round took me like 2 minutes. But yeah, the two soundtracks are very different. Like the first, the remastered version does a really good job of capturing the same sort of ideas, but um, I guess pepping it up a little. Played the racing game. So yeah, boy, have I played Crash Team Racing? My goodness, that's that's one of my favorite games. Absolutely, I've 100%ed that. Uh, it's an all time great in my opinion. Yeah, played that to death. Refused to play it with you. Wow, that's so rude. Because it's a fantastic game. Um, I think. Do you think it might be because the skill ceiling is slightly high, right? Like if you're playing if you're playing with someone who's played a lot of it, they know how to boost, and the boosting does take a little bit to get used to. Yeah, I'm too good at it. Yeah, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. The troubles of being a gamer, huh? Yeah, no, it's I spent so long playing that game, both the original and the remaster and Nitro Kart as well. Yeah, that's the stuff, all right. I let my friends and they're like, "Yep, what? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've had exactly the same experience." I like, yeah, I let my friend and they were like, yeah, you know what? Like, I give up. Yeah, I don't think I can win. I was like, no, wait, I'll give you a 30-second hit start or something. I'm sorry, come back. Yeah. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that yeah, you need to actually convince your friends not just to play, but to like buy and play for themselves. Which I know is it's a difficult sell, but if you can convince anyone to do that, then you got a good racing rivalry going. Sadly, I never that never worked for me, but I tried. Boy, did I try! I thought the remaster was really good as well. Um, oops, it's a jumpy one, not a spinny one. Got him. The fact that that they added new tracks and also put the Nitro Kart tracks in there was really cool because I remember really enjoying Nitro Kart, but when I played it, but some of the tracks here were uh, a bit stiff. Like the in the original game, like they had those anti grav sections, and those were cool in theory, but they were a bit slow. Um, oh my god, Pinstripe's still the worst thing ever. Yeah, the hot air skyway, whatever it's called. That is a brutal track. Um, you can fall off so many edges and stuff. Okay. Oh my god, I'm doing something wrong here. So a thing that you might notice is that if you play the original, if you died in one of these bonus stages, you wouldn't get the chance to go back in. But whereas in this one, yeah, you do get the chance to go back in. That's going to get fine. Bombs are harder than the final boss. Yeah, yeah. Nitrous oxide is a little bit of a pushover, really, isn't he? That's better. Just got to get past that first annoying bit. Yeah, pinstripe. Pinstripe was the bane of my young existence. I remember. It's one of those things, that you swear like, oh, this is impossible. But that's what I love so much about these games is that when you actually beat the damn thing, there's a sort of a feeling of triumph that's sort of unrivaled. Yeah, 100%. Oxide isn't really that hard. He just gets that cheaty head start, which I thought was a really cool touch. But yeah, that was close. But yeah, pinstripe. I remember. Yeah, that's probably is the hardest track in the game as well. Which I think is part of the problem. That hot air skyway one. Okay, so we have to use this lizard to bounce and get that box full of Wumpa fruit. Easy. Do that all day. So these lizards are meant to be obstacles that will bounce you up into the stream of bats if you time it incorrectly, which obviously we want to avoid. And also these bonus levels act as checkpoints. Boost into split. Yeah. Yeah. It is hard. Okay, now I'm twitchy because I can't remember how many boxes I've smashed here. Or how many bounces I have left to do. It should be 5 on each one. Okay, we're good. Yeah, what I do like about Crash Team Racing is that there actually is a lot of mechanical robustness. Like there's so much to it that works that lets you sort of experiment and play with stuff, like holding onto your blue fire and that sort of thing, and pushing the limits of the tracks, which is not something that you think you'd see ordinarily in the game, like a cartoony sort of kart racing game. It's just not the experience that you think you'd get looking at a game with those visuals. But I love that. It's really cool. And there we go. There's another gem for our collection. And that's the color gem too, which we got for completing the level without dying. So yep, add that to our collection. Da-da-da. And there are certainly some tracks in that game that are better than others, but I think all of them have a really interesting alternative strategies. And once you master them, you are in effect unbeatable. I remember the one shortcut I still can't consistently pull off. I think is the one on the snowball track from the first game. I can't remember the name, but it's got that really gnarly one where you have to jump. You have to boost perfectly across the slippery ice physics, and then jump over the river. But the death zone, is just awful. It's really hard to see where exactly you're going to land, and you have to hit the jump angle perfectly, of course. So the whole thing becomes basically just this huge exercise in frustration. Oh yeah, the wall jump. You mean the fence, like little fence hop, like immediately after the bridge? Is that the bit you're talking about? 'Cause, yeah, I think I can nail that one too. The things I'll remember to the day I die. Yeah, the pain of heavy. Yeah, the oxide time trials near the end. Um, Maybe I've forgotten that. I must have pulled it off before. But it's been a while. It's been too long, apparently. I guess I just didn't like that track, but maybe I'll have to bust out. I think I'll have to break out Crash Team Racing again. Boost twice, jump, and go over the large wall that creates the. Ah, yep, yep. Oh my god. Let's try that again. Oh, let's not try that again. No, yeah, you're probably right. It's just been too long. I think since I've played it. I think after I beat the Oxide time trial, I think the last one must have been um, the mines. I think those were tricky to get the Oxide on to beat Oxide on. I remember, and I did go back and beat a few of the velo times, but I think I was pretty burnt out after some of those Oxide ones. So no, I just left them. It's something I need to add to my pile of video game related achievements. Though I think beating the velo times or even some of the dev times would be really cool. It's just something I haven't had time for recently. I think speedrunning this game would be cool, but I don't think I'd be. Not sure how good I'd be at it. I don't think I'd. I don't know if I'd crack a world record time or anything, but it could be fun. Jump. Ooh. Oh, maybe the last track that I beat Oxide on was actually Tiny Temple from Nitro Kart. Yeah, that was a track, all right. The one where you have to hold the blue fire basically the whole way through to beat him. Got it. And holding blue fire for that long is a stressful experience because that track narrows in some really nasty places. So you really have to know the track inside and out to get it done right. All right, Road to Nowhere. This is the level that a lot of people just to like throw their hands up. They're like, nope, this sucks. And admittedly, this level is a lot easier on the original version. Um, this is one of the levels where Crash's new hitbox shape is really unwelcome because the points you have to land on are so precise. You just sort of end up feeling a bit like, oh, this is actually impossible. And the hogs are immortal, so you can't bounce or spin them. You just have to go around them, which is when they sort of sit and watch Crash after you jump past them. So you just have to time it right. And the blue ones are slippery, of course. The dark ones fall eventually. Bad hog, bad. There you go. Yeah, so yeah, this is not it's not an easy level. It gets worse. There's a worse version of this level. Uh, the high road, or is this? Yeah, the high road, which comes. There's like a segment in this game of the three hardest levels, and they all come back to back. Though if you can beat one of them, you can beat all of them. And it really is a triumphant feeling for the first time when you beat them. I remember when I was a kid and I finally beat the damn level. Oh, that was close. Feeling of just intense, like, oh, thank goodness. And then yeah, I wrote down on my little password book my little button combo I needed to press to get back to the next level. Those were the days. And cool, got them all. Though I didn't really need to get them all because I actually need the red gem for this level to finish it. You might have seen a little red gem outline. Now these turtle jumps, I think, is what a lot of people complain about in this level. So you got a little outline of Crash's shadow, yeah, when he jumps, and you really have to hold down X and jump as far as you can on these turtles. So this level is okay for it. There's only the 2 turtle jumps, but in the next version of this level, there's a lot of turtle jumps, and that infuriates quite a few people, as I've seen. Boulder Dash. So this is the second and final boulder level in the game. Slightly harder, of course, than the previous one, because we're on the way into the second island now. So the reason in the speed runs in this level in this game are okay still, because unlike in the remaster of the second game, they didn't add the speed shoes in for the time trials in this one. What they did do, however, in the second one is add the speed shoes, of course, which makes the boulder and bear levels in the second game really hard because you have less time to see what's coming up next. So you basically have to memorize the whole level based on the obstacle you are currently touching for about a second, and then make the next sort of blind jump to beat the time. It's a pretty crazy requirement. I remember those being pretty frustrating, but some of the other relics were just gnarly to get in the second game in particular. I don't know why, but there was a sewer level that it took me so long to get the. I think I only just got the gold in that one too. I don't even think I managed to nab the platinum in the end. It was a very miserable experience, going for 100% on that particular particular level, which is a shame because Crash is just such a fantastic game. Otherwise, I think, yeah, like in the new one, if you've played the new one, you'll know that 100%ing that one is like an Olympian task. Really, it's insane. Some of the requirements that you have to fulfill. Okay, and while that is sort of a good thing because one could say it pads out the length of the game. Um, at the same time, some of the levels are just so frustrating to do. You have to get all the boxes and do it without dying. Um, I love the new Crash game, by the way. I really hope they make another one sort of in that style because Crash 4 is a fantastic, absolutely fantastic game. Highly recommend it. Really wonderful. Um, but it's so hard to 100%. It's easily the hardest game in the series, in my opinion, to 100% complete. Close to 99 lives here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%ing a game. I think you do have to really love it, because otherwise, what's the point in spending extra time with the game? You know that you don't really like. Um, is there anything in here? Yeah, there is. Oops. What's the other game you decided to do it for? Because I've 100%ed quite a few games now. It just seems to be a part of my personality. I think I've 100%ed games since I was very young. Always loved to do it. Guess I just like a lot of games. Primal. No, I don't even know if I've heard. What kind of game is that? Because it sounds familiar. Like I might have heard of it, but I don't know if I have. I might be confusing it with something else. I think I missed a box, didn't I? Well, we'll just get through this little action adventure. A woman who can learn to shift into demon forms as well as a gargoyle. That sounds really cool. I must. So it's available on PlayStation 4? Because that sounds very much worth checking out. No, cool. I'll add that to my long list of things to play. But that sounds really cool. No, thanks for the recommendation. That was close. Okay. These spinny platforms. So this is the longest level in the game. This one, with a lot of tricky platforming, but again, a very rewarding finish when you succeed. Getting close to 99 lives. 15 to 20 hours, solid world building, lovely soundtrack, and the demon forms. I mean, there is absolutely nothing wrong with a straightforward game. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of the most straightforward games are the best because they do the most with their very simple concept. Um, a lot of developers try, and especially small developers will try and do something uber complicated, and you can see that while sometimes that really does pay off, and it is very rewarding to see people experiment with their ideas. Quite often, the best games are the simplest titles. Oh god, that was close. Um, Trying to think of an example, but in general, I consider the sort of three or four tent poles of video games for me are 3D platformers or platformers in general, um, survival horror, racing, and fighting games, because those games are all sort of mechanically relatively simple, but I can do a lot of different and interesting things. Got it. I still have a feeling I missed a box, but we'll see. Cortex head, so that takes us to a special bonus area, which will unlock a secret level. Gargoyle can climb walls and go places the woman can't, but a demon form allows her to do things. Nice. That reminds me a little bit of the basic idea behind um, Ratchet and Clank, because you've got Ratchet, who's obviously the main platforming guy who can jump around and shoot weapons and that sort of thing. But you've got Clank as well, who's the little robot, and he can do. Oh damn it! I missed that. Who can do more puzzly sort of and fit into tight spaces. Much darker, grittier game. No, that's cool. Yeah, it really sounds like I need to acquire this because even just drawing the link between that and Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, series of all time. That's that, well, it's so hard to say. I Some days it'll be Ratchet, some days it'll be Crash, some days it'll be something else entirely. Sly, Jack. All the PlayStation platformers have a very special place in my heart. And then obviously you've got the Silent Hill and Pathologic and Resident Evil, which obviously are all different. First two Ratchet and Clanks are amazing. Yes, personally, I'm such a big fan that I like basically all of them. A lot of people will sort of call me out for like, oh, how can you like that one? That one's terrible. But I genuinely just love the whole series. And while I admit there are some games that are definitely worse than others, um, the first the first lot of games really are something very special. Play them past the first two, so no judgment from me. Oh, that's good. Yeah. No, the first two. If you were going to play any of them, the first two are pretty good. Definitely some of the best. The third, if you were to play another one, just one more, I'd probably either recommend the third one or Crack in Time. But they're both. It's a big shame because they're so hard to get like a hold of these days. Cool, got all the Cortex heads. Can I make this jump? Yes, I can. I guess you could say that with a lot of games. It's a big shame when a game is hard to access. Is that gonna? Yes, it's gonna get both of them. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, at least they're still making new Ratchet and Clanks. I really enjoyed the new one on PlayStation 5. Whereas some of the other platforming series that I really think should still be alive simply don't exist anymore. Really, it's a shame there aren't um, more 3D platformers being made, but sort of from the big studios. But there are a couple of games I need to play. Demon Turf and the new KO the Kangaroo are games that I would both love to play. Fatal Frame, yes, I've played. I've Here we are. I've only played the first one of those. Um, I haven't heard much about the other ones, the newer ones. Uh, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It sounds like a bad thing. That they aren't that good anymore. Is that true? Jump. Second and third are phenomenal. Okay, so I actually have the second and third sitting on my shelf for the PS2. So I think I'll need to crack those out then. But okay, avoid anything after that. Okay, noted. Fatal Frame 3 is the scariest. Okay. Always looking for games that are actually scary rather than just sort of hyped up buckets of gore. Oh dear. Yep. That sounds really tasteful and well done. I don't know if you've played it, but I found Outlast a very very difficult game to sort of. It's so hyped, but I didn't really. I don't know. Maybe it was because of that hype that I went in the other direction and was like, no. 3 gets in your head pretty hard and it's very good at avoiding jump scares. Okay, yeah, that would be fantastic to play on stream or something. Certainly, should probably save my game. Okay, very good at avoiding jump scares. Yeah, jump scares. Jump scares really are a divisive topic. They really do have to be done well. A lot of those super massive horror ones. Oops. Uh, they have like intriguing stories, but they like rely too much on like just sort of very the cliches. And I know they try and bust out of the cliches in those games, but yeah, can't do the yeah. Not a fan of first-person horror in general. Yeah, I get that. If you haven't played the new Resident Evil games, though, those I would highly recommend as first-person horror. Resident Evil 7, especially, all-time classic, fantastic game. I 100% completed that, and I'm planning to do that again soon. Damn it. Koala Kong. This is his one and only boss fight in the series, I think. He's basically just gets replaced by Tiny Tiger after this. That's a shame about the motion sickness. yeah, fantastic game. But can you watch other people playing it? Because even that is worth doing. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, I was a bit. I remember being a bit confused that some people didn't like Village. I'll set it up on the nice. Some people really didn't like Village in comparison to Seven. I was confused a bit by that. I know it wasn't as good, but some people actively I found didn't like it. Um, I guess a small minority of people, but there we go. Bye. Yeah, they probably did want more. Yeah, Dimitrescu. That seemed to be a big reason for the hype, which is good for the Resident Evil team, of course. They found something like that. Okay, third island, making pretty good progress. This game is like breathing to me at this point, you know. No, I'm trying to think what good they're adding third person to Village. I saw, so that'd help you at least. That'd be fantastic if that turns out good. But I'm trying to think of what other um, third person horror titles they've put out recently. Um, yeah, I thought that looked really good. A lot of people were asking for it too, just because of they like the old third person style, just in general. Um, I've been playing through, going for 100% on the Resident Evil 3 remake, and that's been a lot of fun. Sort of doing speed runs and uh, playing on harder difficulties. Nice way to challenge myself, but Nemesis on the hardest difficulty. Oh yes, the Callisto Protocol. Yes, I'm hoping that turns out good. That looked like a lot of fun. I'm not sure about the. I mean, I'm sure the Dead Space remake will be good. No, don't worry about any typos. I don't mind. And what was I saying? That yeah, the Dead Space remake. I played the original one or a bit of the original one. I wasn't super into it. I could appreciate it was good. I guess I just didn't like the style. I think I preferred. Um, oh my goodness, I wasn't paying attention. I think I preferred Alien Isolation in terms of space horror titles, but I could certainly respect where Dead Space was coming from. Maybe it was because I'd played Resident Evil 4 before, and I sort of already knew that that's fantastic third person action horror, and it was hard for Dead Space, I guess, to live up to both that and the hype that I'd heard about it. It probably was another case of it being spoiled for me by it was being spoiled for me by my own expectations. I think maybe I should just go into more games a bit blinder. I think by the sounds of it, sounds like a me problem. Isolation is absolutely fantastic. They did such a good job with the alien. You genuinely don't want to leave. You don't want to leave your sort of safe spots because yeah, that's the alien. They did such a good job with its AI and presentation in that game. Really fantastic. It bemuses me why the industry hasn't said yes. Let's make another one of those. But what do I know? It seems crazy to me that they wouldn't. Yeah, 100%. Because the thing about playing, well, about any game, I mean, but especially horror, right, is that you sort of you don't get quite the same experience watching it as you do playing it, um, and that's fine. It's still a good experience. Which I mean, obviously, that's what I'm trying to sell to people. Watching me play horror games, but um, there is something to be said for after having watched something being like, yes, I must play that because that just adds to your sort of respect for the game. You've sort of seen how it works, but then you can appreciate it on a different level when it's actually you sort of experiencing the mechanics for yourself. Oops. Yes, I'm one of those people though that almost the opposite thing happens. I watch something or I read about the synopsis of something and I'm like, oh my, that sounds like the scariest thing ever. I'm gonna be terrified when I play this, and then like my imagination like builds it up, and then I play it and I'm like, oh, that's it, that's it. I thought there'd be something more than this. That happened to me especially with Outlast 2. Um, Everyone was like, "Oh, this thing is so scary, like so much gore, so many freaky scenes," and I'm like, "Okay, this I got to see." And then I played it, and I was like, "Oh, this is this is incredibly lame." I think maybe I just didn't really like the story. I think. Oh, I missed my token. That's okay. There's no way it's that scary. Yeah. And then yeah, you just like no, I can. There have been a couple of games like that where especially when I didn't play many horror games, like when I was just starting out playing horror titles, I was like, no, I can't. I have to put this down. I can't play any more of this. I remember doing that thing with. I remember doing that with PT. Um, that game really freaked me out. I had to put that down. Um, Forbidden Siren. That's the game I want to play on stream. I'm wondering if I'm not sure how good streaming is on PlayStation 4. I'd like to. Um, I think it would be cool because Forbidden Siren, I 100% agree with you, is really bloody, bloody terrifying. They did sound design really, really well on that game, um, and the sight jack game, um, the sight jack mechanic. I have no idea why other horror games have not used that more because there is nothing there's nothing quite so scary as like looking through the eyes of your enemy and sort of hearing their sort of half human mutant breathing and then realizing that they're actually coming towards you where you're sort of crouching in the bushes. Yeah. The soundtrack is also absolutely fantastic. I agree. I ran I ran a little horror like tabletop thing for some of my friends, and I used that soundtrack. And yeah, wait, that's the closet I'm in. Oh yeah, oh crap, yeah. This that really heightened feeling of dread, as well as the fact that you can't actually kill the enemies, right? Like no matter what you do, they stay alive. So you can knock them down, but they just get back up. In that sense, the whole level is basically one giant pressure cooker because you're going to run out of bullets or health or resources, so you have to get in and get out. But a big problem with the game is, of course, that you have um, like such esoteric like puzzles. It's really really hard to blue gems. So there's no point. Um, Yes. Uh, some of those levels, you just have like zero idea what to do or how to do it. And although you're supposed to like sight jack to sort of see what you can do with the enemy, but you have to like do something like 3 levels beforehand. So if I do play it on stream, actually scratch that. When I play it on stream, I would love to play it on stream. Um, I will probably have a guide or something printed out because it really is gnarly, that stuff. Because like you have to like ask someone to break into a house and like jimmy open a door handle um, for someone like 5 levels later. Yeah, I'm just glad it wasn't worse in terms of like larger areas. I mean, there's still large areas, but I could imagine much worse. But yeah, without a guide, I don't know how anyone. Yeah, put the washcloth and blood then in the fridge. This one log day 3. Yeah, wasn't there one? Um, there was one. Yeah, it was that washcloth one, wasn't it? Because then you have to use the washcloth to make a loud noise or something, and then that will lure the policeman from the diner out into the bit you're in, so you can go in and get whatever the heck the thing you need is from where he is. Um, but you can't. Yeah, you can't just lure him any other way. You have to do it that way. So otherwise, he just kills you, and you can't get past him. Yeah, now do it in 1 minute 35 seconds. Yeah, I remember the levels I had actually the most trouble with were the levels where you play as the old man in the mine. I don't know why, but I struggled with his sniper rifle, like this terrible scope aiming. Yeah, you have to do it the game's way. Yeah, I think if someone made a more modern version of the game, I haven't played the PS3 remake yet or the retelling, but I would certainly love to. Um, I wonder if they did it a bit better. I'm not sure, and I haven't played the second one yet either. It's on my list too. Jump. It's not great. Pretty awful. Oh, that's a shame. Because I've seen some still images for that game, and the way they did do the Shibito in that game was pretty cool. Um, I thought they looked pretty scary, but yeah, if the gameplay isn't good, then yeah, it's not worth playing, is it? So that's a shame. It's still on my list to play, but I think you'd have to try pretty hard to get the Shibito to not be terrifying. There's something really special about them as horror enemies. But much like, because that was from, was that Toyama, the Silent Hill director? Because no one's paid much attention to his games, but he makes some fantastic games, or at least has some fantastic ideas, and it feels like no one pays quite enough attention to his newer stuff, like Gravity Rush and that sort of thing, which I still need to play more of. Changes to the story, they're just questionable. Yeah, if I remember right, they changed it to like American people, right? So like Yanks would be able to enjoy it more. Yeah, I think it was the director who did Silent. Oh my goodness, who did Silent Hill? You have to press jump to jump. Oh, okay. It was the person who did the original Silent Hill, I think, who then went on to do Siren and a couple of other cool games. But I remember, yeah, American Tourists and some Japanese fake really weirdly. I mean, you could say the same thing about the original people in the original game. Uh, at least, maybe it's just the voice acting that did it for me, but there were some inadvertently hilarious moments in the original just because of the fact that everyone had British voice actors. So that was funny. Like, oh, shut up. Hang on, I got 52 out of 52. Oh, I had to do it without dying. That was probably a much smarter decision. I'm gonna try to do that one again. Have one more go at that one. Japanese, yep, the much smarter decision. The British voice acting is uniformly terrible. Terrible, but absolutely hilarious. I do recommend watching some gameplay. If you haven't watched Nitro Rad's review of it, Nitro Rad's a really good reviewer on YouTube. Oh my goodness, he does a segment on that. He does a bit on that game, and he's playing with with the British voice acting, and he has a few things to say about it that are quite funny. One more try. Come on, I can do this. Yeah, very much worth a look. There's something transcendent about the terrible voice acting, isn't there? Especially, as you say, in serious games. Sort of, it at once kills the mood and elevates it. Like, oh, this is glorious. And that was 100% what happens with Forbidden Siren. I think when I play it on stream, I'll keep that voice acting on, so anyone who hasn't yet experienced it can experience it in its full glory. Yeah, well, I can be successful and do what I love. Yeah. Or yeah, when you could say the same about bad writing. You're like, I want to be a writer, but my writing sucks, and then you watch something with a very silly plot, and you're like, wow, they published that, or they let that out into the wild. I can be a writer. Yeah. There should be nothing that stops you from if you want to write, you should write, you know. Yeah. Exactly. I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way? I know a lot of people dunk on the voice acting in Silent Hill 2, but I think it elevates the game personally. It's one of the few games where weird voice acting elevates the experience simply because it is Silent Hill, and also because Angela and Maria in particular have some of the finest, most timeless voice acting in video games. Psycho Mantis. He asks a lot of questions in that game. Yeah, that's 100% the vibe they're going for, right? Good, I got the color gem that time. Don't suck. 52% complete. This is the barrel level. Just awkward enough to be considered hard. Yes, precisely. Yeah, it doesn't actually veer into bad, like terrible voice acting. Like there's actually some emotion and pathos behind it. But I can understand why some people don't like it because it's not the regular emotion and pathos that you're used to. But it should be indicative of the fact that these people are all like lost in sort of this mental fog. And I mean, you have to excuse voice acting from those days because it wasn't, they were sort of just beginning, I guess, to sort of scratch the surface in terms of what could be done with video game voice acting. So personally, I think Silent Hill 2 came out at the perfect time, and it's really hard to see. Like, I know everyone's like, oh, they should remake the game, or they should release a new Silent Hill. It gets harder and harder every year, though, for me, personally, um, to sort of see the value in a remake because Silent Hill 2, or all the Silent Hills, but 2 especially, yeah, apparently they are. Cool. I've heard the same, that Bloober Team is doing it. I mean, Bloober Team's okay, um, but the fact I don't know. I don't think Silent Hill 2 needs a remake, because or if it does get a remake, it'll have to be painstaking, because the mood and atmosphere of that game is something altogether different, and it comes from a very specific time using very specific technology, which I think is part of the problem with remaking and remastering games. Even this one, even Crash, as I was saying, like, the spooky atmosphere of some of the levels is just gone, because you can render more of the levels. So why wouldn't you render more of the level? Isn't that what modern audiences want? Um, yeah, there's sort of just a lot of scrutiny, right? Like, you're just not quite sure whether it's the right decision, um, because it's such a special game, and Konami have already tried once, right? They tried with um, the HD re-release, and no one liked that. Yeah, I think, and part of the problem with Silent Hill as a franchise, especially, is that a lot of people are looking at it, and thinking of the memories of the original, of the glory days, the original, like, at least the original three games, but for me, the original four. Um, and a lot of people are sort of like, they should make a new one, and they should do it as good as those ones. But it's very, I don't know, it's really hard, because to bring a franchise back from the dead like that, I don't know. I see so many ways it could go wrong, and Silent Hill, they've tried so many times to bring it back from the dead, right? Um, and 100%, you're right about, people will judge any change made, even if it's a good change. It's just what will happen. It's the nature of the beast, I think. And it could be it could be great, like, it could be fantastic, and then it will all be glad that they took that chance. But yes, precisely, it's like capturing lightning in a bottle. I mean, you just, simply speaking, it's going to be almost impossible to make something that is as timeless as the original, because the original still holds up to this day. Like, they'd be better served if they re-released, like, if they actually ported the game to modern systems, like the original game, and we're just like, here, this is it, done. We don't need to remake the game with modern graphics. We're just going to give you the original experience as it was intended to be played. And sure, you can install the HD mod if you want, which is a fantastic mod. But you can't, we're not going to take away the artistry of the original textures. Because that's really weird, right? Like, some artist, like, worked for so long on those original textures to get the mood and feel precisely right. Like, that's part of what makes that game so good, because the actual graphical feel of it is so profound. But to change it, I think, is to do something, yeah, irreversible. And I don't know, like, if they re-release Silent Hill 2 and it sucks, what I was thinking about is what happens if the game. Yes, they did lose the original code, which is part of the problem. Um, so I understand they can't do that, but I don't know, remaking the whole game, if it sucks, I mean, is that people gonna like the new generation of people are gonna, like, look at that and be like, oh, Silent Hill 2? Why does everyone talk about this game so much? It's not that special. And I think that would be one of the worst things that could happen. Maybe that's just me being uber pessimistic, which I like to think I'm not normally, but I'm just, yeah. It's such a special game, and you have to be very careful with it. And I don't really trust Konami, uh, to do anything right. Yeah, remake it and sell a package. Yeah, 100%. They should do that, because then people can decide what they prefer. Oh, Yeah, I mean, Konami could price gouge me if they like. Um, if I have to buy the remake um, to play I have to buy the remake to play the original version of the game on a PC without having to spend hundreds of dollars on a original PC copy, then I think a lot of people would do that. It's just the smart move, because the game is treasured and for very very good reason. 100% it's a game that fans memorize. It's a game that stands up to robust academic analysis. I mean, if you start messing around with that kind of thing, you're gonna you might end up destroying the whole integrity of the piece. And part of the problem is as well. I read an interview with the original director, and he was like, "You should if they were to remake Silent Hill 2, you'd need to rethink it like top to bottom, like how they did how they with the RE2 make. They reinterpreted the original camera controls to the Resi 4 over the shoulder. He said that you'd probably have to do that, and then from there, who knows what else you'd have to do to get the game up to sort of to scratch, because that's another part of the thing. Like, you're trying to attract a new audience, but you're also trying to please the fans, and you can't really do both. So if they change the gameplay, they'll alienate the fans. But if they don't change the gameplay, a lot of people just won't buy it because they'll be like, "What is this clunky old? Why can James like only strafe from side to side? That sort of thing, and move very slowly and tank controls and whatnot." It's so hard. It's such a hard problem. I would not want to be in their shoes, while they're doing this. Biggest concern, yeah, have to fix the camera. Yeah, because the whole point of Silent Hill is that we have these weird moments of, oh, I stuffed up. Yep, I stuffed up. Shouldn't have done that. Like, those fixed camera angle make you feel like the town of Silent Hill is watching you, right? But if you got rid of those, then all of a sudden you don't have that like weird sense of like voyeurism. Like, you're playing from the town's perspective, right? When you're playing from that fixed camera perspective, and when you take that away, then you're going to be playing from James's perspective, and that's a whole different beast. I mean, that could be really valuable, but that's a whole different beast, and you have to rethink about the whole presentation of the game. Whereas with something like Crash, they changed a few things, and as I discussed before, some of those changes, the visual changes, weren't positive. Getting rid of some of the creepier atmosphere for more in favor of more realistic or more detail, which leads to a different experience entirely. But yeah, with a game like Silent Hill 2, yeah, dread versus action, 100%. When Exactly. The game can build a lot more tension when all of a sudden, yeah, the control is slightly out of your hands, and you know that you have this sort of bad feeling of anticipation. 60%. That's not bad, but yeah, I mean, the problem is, so I played the medium, which is the newest Bloober team game, and that was a bad start. So yeah, the medium tried to do this like that fixed camera angle, but they didn't. I don't know. I wasn't 100% convinced by it, to be honest. They It was good. I mean, those kinds of games are classics, but you have to understand, yeah, why the classics do what they do. And I don't know. They didn't treat the subject with as much sensitivity, I guess, as I was hoping for, as much tact, which is a shame. I was too hasty there. So you have to do this level without dying to get the red gem. Yeah, reinvent how the player feels powerless. I think I'd rather just make a new horror game, to be honest, rather than try and remake the greatest survival horror title of all time. I just don't think it's a worthwhile use of money and time. I'd rather see them make a second medium game and use some of the lessons they learned from that game and make an actually good survival horror classic of their own before they try and remake the best one of all time. Jump! Oh god. Okay. So you see, yeah, they changed the sort of in the original there was sort of these black, just these eyes like staring out at you and these big claws, but now yeah, it's just old men as prisoners in Cortex's castle. Yes, yeah, 100%. Like in the original Resident Evil, the fixed camera angles were 100% a result of the fact that they wanted their environments to look nice, but in order to do that, they had to pre-render it. So that's for a technical reason. That's why they used the fixed camera angle. Oh, sliding off. Okay, one more try, and then if I die again like this, I'll just leave it for now. I think just go through the level as normal. But yeah, the whereas Silent Hill was still fully 3D, but chose to use the fixed camera angles because they saw something of value in those fixed camera angles. And a lot of modern audiences simply don't, and that's not a bad thing because the over-the-shoulder camera um, or the first-person camera does a fantastic job of at horror a lot of the time. It's not to say that those aren't scary. It's just that, yeah, as you say, different kind of scary. And I think that's the main worry is that they'll transform the more psychological scares of Silent Hill into oh god, there's a shooting battle, tense shooting battle with Pyramid Head, whereas that's not really what they were in the original game. They weren't sort of tense. They weren't tense shooting battles. They were, I guess, even more reflective boss fights or something. You just had to survive basically. Um, I don't know. They originally toyed with the idea as well of having Pyramid Head run around the streets in the other world section in Silent Hill 2. But they didn't do that because they knew it would deflate how scary Pyramid Head was if you could just see him sort of walking around and being slow and that sort of thing. So I really hope that if they are remaking it, that they don't try something like that to turn Pyramid Head into a Mr. X or something like that. I don't know. You'd have to be very careful when you do stuff like that because part of the problem is as well is that Pyramid Head is so overused, and like overemphasized. Like he's a creepy villain. Um, Pyramid Head is he should be used sparingly. I think he shouldn't be the face of the game as he is. He's like the face of the franchise, which understandable, but also like you have to be careful with that kind of thing. Take out the loading screens. Yep. Hope sound travels. Yeah, yeah. I do agree that they could uh, they could do that sort of thing, like make his noise a bit more prevalent, and maybe put him in like maybe just one or two more small areas, but nothing more than that. Yes, why is he in Homecoming? That is a good question. Yeah, you can tell that Homecoming was a game made by a lot of fans, and made by fans for fans, and that's admirable. But you can also see how and why such an endeavor goes wrong. When you're just trying to give people what they think they want, or then you end up not telling a good and compelling story, and also diluting, damn it, also diluting the original purpose of those characters. Okay, no, I can do this. I've done it many times before. I can do it now. I think, yeah, it's just like the original. It's gotten to the point where the original creator of Pyramid Head, Masahiro Ito, he said, I wish I'd never drawn Pyramid Head in the first place, because he's become this symbol for Konami to sort of trot out and be like, look, it's Pyramid Head. It's the guy that you love. Whereas Pyramid Head should have just been limited realistically to the story of Silent Hill 2 and maybe used as marketing. He's cool to put on t-shirts, he's an iconic design, that sort of thing, but it must hurt so much to see a creation that you made and that you love basically just bastardized and butchered by this big corporation. So you don't even get a say in what your character does anymore or anything. It's completely out of your hands. It's yeah, I feel for him because that's got to be really hard. Okay. So notice this level doesn't have many checkpoints either, which is why a lot of people complain about this level. Bounce. But if you just bounce, if you just time, it's all to do with timing this level. I think the last Silent Hill game that really got Silent Hill, in my opinion, was Shattered Memories. And I know it wasn't perfect, but they at least had the psychological aspect of the series down. Even if it was a little on the nose, the way that they did the monsters in that game was really cool. Oh no, oh no. Whew. The radio, that's a good point actually. I hope they at least have Yamoka as a consultant or something, because if it is Bloober Team, he worked with them on the medium, and the sound design was pretty good in that game. So I'm hoping they still have him on board, because something that's very special about the Silent Hill games is indeed his contributions to it. But the radio, 100%, I'm sure they could do some really creepy things with the radio. And that feeling of dread, as you say. Silent Hill is all about dread. It's about anticipation. Even if you don't get, and this, oh my goodness, I died at exactly the same spot. All the way back to the start. Since I get sent back all the way to the start, I'll just keep quitting and re-entering. My goodness. If you have the radio going off, no loading screens. Yes, 100%. If you expand the radio's radius a bit, you might get some good tension-filled moments. But I also do like the feeling of checking doors and being like, "Oh, thank goodness this one is locked," or when you open the door, and there's no sound at all because there's a mannequin in there or whatever, and because the mannequins don't react to the radio until they wake up, so you don't know if there's an enemy until he's right around the corner or something. I don't know. It's all tricky, isn't it? It's so many different variables. All we can do is wait and see, but personally, I'd find it a really confronting challenge to remake Silent Hill 2 because there's simply so much that you could change, technically for the better, but that would actually take away from the experience. Because new assets, even new character models, yeah, that's going to be hard to pull off, I think. What are they going to do about the one big thing I miss? One thing I did miss from Silent Hill 3 was the FMVs in Silent Hill 1 and 2. I thought they were perfect, especially the ones in 2. I thought it was a shame that... I understand they wanted to show off how cool their in-game graphics were, but man, did I miss those haunting graphics in Silent Hill 2. Shattered Memories is definitely enjoyable, and it's not the worst either. It gets much worse than that. I haven't yet played Downpour, so maybe that is the worst, but so far it's definitely Homecoming for me, and Origins was just boring. Yeah. This town is full of monsters. How can you just sit there and eat pizza? If they do remove that, then there'll be hell to pay. Okay, come on. Downpour wasn't bad. Yeah, I hear mixed things about it. It was better than Homecoming, right? But sort of in a dubious way. Finally made that easy jump. I think it's a shame because you could actually see what they wanted to do with Homecoming, like gameplay wise. Oh, that was close. Oh my god. Okay. Hey, how you doing? You could really see what they were doing with Homecoming gameplay wise in terms of trying to up the action, but I think they misinterpreted it. The feel that the game should have. They made it too action heavy and the enemies too difficult to kill. Yeah, good. Just trying to 100% crash while discussing horror games at the moment. So it's an eclectic mix. I've died like 5 times on this terrible level trying to get the red gem. I know I can do it. I've done it before, but boy, is it difficult. Okay, come on. Well, it's not difficult. I think I've got past the hard bit. It's just keeping my cool now. Favorite horror game? Um, I mean, judging by the way I've been talking about it, probably Silent Hill 2. I know that's the generic answer, but it's probably true. I mean, I respect that game so much. Um, thanks for the follow, by the way. That means a lot. Um, I mean, yeah. So Silent Hill 2, uh, Resident Evil 7. I mean, these are all bland. I'm trying to think of some of the stuff I've played that's a bit more niche. Concluse is very good. That's a relatively um, newish horror game, which is a good, yeah, really good Silent Hill-esque first-person sort of mind screw. Uh, I enjoy that one. It's a lot shorter, and they're coming out with a new one soon. It's meant to be good. It's got combat in it this time, whereas the original one didn't. Okay, come on, I got this. Why? What about you? What's your favorite horror game? Crap. Oof. Come on. Oh crap! That was embarrassingly close to death. Okay, got the red gem. Don't have to do this one again. Sweet. So that's the second. That's probably the hardest level in the game, the base game as it stands. How often do I stream? I haven't been streaming too much recently, mainly because I was here sort of working myself to the bone on some projects. But hopefully, I've got a little bit of time now, and I'm hoping to get set back into a bit of a schedule. Um, I'll probably keep streaming at least once a week. Twice a week would be fantastic, but we'll try once a week. So I'm streaming in progress. I've now got Crash. I should have said Pathologic. Actually, it was my favorite horror game. What am I thinking? Pathologic and Silent Hill 2. So I'm currently streaming Silent Hill 3. I've got that in progress. I'm streaming Pathologic Classic HD, and I'm also now streaming this just for fun. Just this is an unwindy kind of game. So I always like to update my schedule, and make sure that people know what's actually going on. So I'll see what I can do about streaming again this week. Streaming some Pathologic would be cool. Okay. I can do this. Easy. I don't remember if this is one where I should check that more. This is one where yes, I do need the gem. Sea of Thieves. No, I haven't. I haven't played Sea of Thieves actually. I think the last pirate game I must have played was either Sid Meier's Pirates or No, yeah, it must have been Sid Meier's Pirates. I was playing that semi recently again. But I also do like Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, the piratey stuff, and that's cool. But no, I haven't actually played Sea of Thieves. I've watched people play Sea of Thieves, but I'm not sure. Um, Stand Still for Death Angels and Pathologic. Yes, I, I can't forget that. My lovely getting infected. Oh dear, I went too slow. Okay, you can still kind of see. I missed a few boxes, but that's because of the gem. And yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping back into Pathologic in that playthrough because I think it's going pretty well, and I'm enjoying it a lot to analyze it on stream. It's something very different for me than I've ever done before. So I think it's been really rewarding to play a long form game like that, while also being able to have such great discussions about it. So I'm really appreciative to you and chat there um, for keeping such discussions lively, even when I'm playing Crash Bandicoot. Okay. This is the second and final type of the Temple Ruins level. Okay. Just playing this on PC right now. So ordinarily I'd play. Um, I normally play these kinds of games on PlayStation, but I don't have a. I'm not sure yet whether I want to stream using PlayStation's inbuilt software, and I don't have a video capture card. Oh no! Thanks for stopping by. I hope to see you. Hope to see you here again sometime. Okay. So this one's got Cortex heads as well. Bounce. Okay. See, these platforms are hell to land on. Okay. But now we've got the blue gem, we can actually go on one of these paths and get the rest of the boxes here. Except, I didn't really want my Asku mask now, but whatever. Come on, come on. Don't fall now, that would be embarrassing. Okay. So that's expired. You see how many boxes you miss if you don't have the blue gem. Kills Crash at the end. We got the blue gem from the barrel rolling level, didn't we? Which is a nice easy one. It's probably the easiest color gem to get. Oh man. Just gotta do that. I don't really know why I went for the life. I don't need them. I'm just so accustomed. Okay. No, I can't for the life of me remember if there are boxes back that way, but I suppose we'll soon find out. I don't really want to risk dying and having to do that all again. That's a trick. They got me with that one. Okay. Okay. Good job, Crash. I'm so sorry for what I did to you. Okay, how many? Still got a lot of boxes left. Okay. It's funny, isn't it? When when someone's playing a game and if they're doing well, they're like, "Man, I'm doing so good," and then when they do badly, they like blame the character. They're like, Crash, you suck. Okay, Now, is this? This is another walkie bit. Okay. Though it's not a good walkie bit, though, is it? It's a jumpy bit. I think I've missed. I have, haven't I? I've missed a Cortex token. I might have to do this level again. I'll try and finish the game anyway today. Beat the final boss. And then I can come back to it and probably polish off the rest of the stuff in a single stream. Unless I wanted to do the relics, in which case that would take me about 5 years. Yeah, come on, James. You can do better than that. Yeah, missed one. Thought so. Don't know where, though. This really doesn't feel safe. Okay. We'll just ignore the... So now we know that we can't get all the boxes, because we missed that Cortex one, right? Don't get squashed. Don't get blown up either. I think the difficulty curve in this game is really well done. I don't recall moments where I'm like, oh, this is the hardest. This is way too hard. I don't recall a bit where it swerves into unforgiving. Dragon's Dogma. That's a classic game as well. That's a fantastic game. Now that they've announced the second one, I was just saying to a friend the other day, I need to go back and play the first one. But the pawns in that game are uniquely stupid. They look a rock. The same. They dole out the same advice every time. I do remember. Yes, that gets old. Though it is a fantastic game. The action in that is just superb, and I remember really enjoying the little twists and turns of the story too. Thought it was very effective. Very good game. If you couldn't turn off their voices, I couldn't play it. Yeah, I think it's not just the repetition of their lines, is it? It's the fact that they speak in this really horrible horrible accent, like this old, like Middle English accent. Oh, there's that level finished. I have to do that one again. That was just for fun. Yeah, they have those like liking it. Yeah, it is. It is a hard game. Yeah, a lot of people don't really say that, do they? But it is a hard game. Like, especially in some of the dungeons, you can easily get overwhelmed by some of the enemies. But some of the enemies are really like I remember being pleasantly surprised by the enemies in that game. There were some really fantastic enemy types in that game. Especially the fights with flying enemies in particular, where you're holding onto them and they soar up into the air. There's nothing quite like it. I think it's really magnificent. Okay. It's been so long since I played it. It must be almost 10 years since I last played that game, and I still have very strong memories of it. It's a very good game. Yeah, like the world sort of has that nice, wonderful RPG quality of it exists without me, you know. So these monsters will be roaming around even if I wasn't here. You know, they're not artificially placed. They're here. They live in this world, and I'm sort of the intruder on their territory. And that's what good RPGs, especially good open world ones, should strive to do. You know. But a lot of games do struggle with that. With that sort of, they need, yeah, with that organic feeling. Yeah, that stuff is hilarious because a lot of players you can romance the main shopkeeper, um, the one who says their master works all. You can't go wrong. You can romance him, and a lot of people complain. They're like, I did not want to romance this guy. I just like talked to him to buy some stuff, and now he's like my love interest. I find that hilarious. Yes, some of that game is really good. So I'm really hoping that the second one lives up to expectations because yeah, it was a breath of fresh air, really. Not Fisherman's Daughter number two. She's the world to me. Exactly. I, I, I remember her name and everything. No, okay. My bad. I was hoping I could jump up there. That was just me being dumb. Okay. Yeah, Dragon's Dogma is a very like. I remember at the time. Basically, I wasn't a huge Western. I wasn't a huge RPG person. I'm still not a huge RPG person. I played a few, but I haven't played a lot. But I remember because I basically I was very sort of I love Skyrim and Oblivion and that sort of thing. I think Oblivion's still my favorite one of those games. But I remember Dragon's Dogma was like, wow, this is what combat in an RPG should feel like. You know, this is what exploration in an RPG should feel like. And I think the exploration thing, that's what if I ever do buy Starfield, I'm not particularly looking forward to it, but if I ever do buy it, it looks fine. But if I ever do buy it, I hope that the exploration is one thing they do really well, because Outer Wilds, which is one of my favorite games, has sort of busted open my expectations for that kind of thing. Exploration is really key for me in any kind of game, but Outer Wilds really showed off how it should be done. It's interesting basically the whole time. And Dragon's Dogma also I found interesting the whole time, especially because they've only got like the one hub, right? So you're always um, you're always like away from home, and the further away you get, the more desperate things feel. And that's a feeling I really liked. Is that when you're back in Grancis or whatever it's called, that you have this really safe and secure feeling that like, oh, now I can replenish, now I can rest. But the moment you start like crossing through the cliff sides and moving away from the main two centers of habitation, you you get this sort of foreboding feeling of like I have to watch and monitor my resources and my health very carefully because things could get very dangerous all of a sudden. Yeah, like the darkness, and they do darkness in Dragon's Dogma really well. Um, it feels genuinely dangerous when night comes out, whereas in other RPGs, that same feeling doesn't quite come across. Come on, got him. Yeah, like all the bad monsters come out at night, right? And they're very powerful, and it's genuinely really dark, and the torch casts just the right amount of light. So yeah, oh damn it, they do a fantastic job. This guy was the bane of my young existence. I remember I was playing this for the very first time. I could hold a controller just barely. He such a struggle. Hard mode Dragon Age, yeah. Dragon Age. There's a new one of those coming too, isn't there? It's been such a long time since the last one as well. I hope it's good. The world needs more good fantasy RPGs. It can never be enough. But I didn't play the DLC for the last one, so I think I'm missing out on a lot of like stuff, right? I think a lot of stuff happened in the DLCs. Yeah, Dragon Age is a flawed game, but I think it does a lot of cool things. Um, I like the story. Um, and the romance options, especially the I was really pleasantly surprised by some of not just how well all of the romance options were written, but yeah, by how well some of the LGBTQ ones were written. What's his name? I really liked the romance with Dorian in Inquisition. I thought that was really, really well done. You need to play Inquisition. Yeah, so I've played Inquisition, but played um I haven't played the DLC, so I never bought those. Um, but yes, the Dorian romance I thought was really lovely. I thought it was fantastic. So I think I played it through twice, and I romanced Dorian in the first one, and I think I tried to romance Cassandra in the second playthrough. And I like them both, but I think Dorian was the better option. Okay, this is the level that sucks to speedrun. Oh. Iron Bull. I don't think I ever. I don't know if I ever warmed up to him as a character, really. Maybe because I was playing as a Canary in the first one, and I was like, there's only room in this party for one. There can only be one Canary. So I'm sort of already filling. I was basically already filling his role, I guess. No, I have. I actually have fond memories of that game. Now that you bring it up, Dragon Age Inquisition. Exactly. Yeah. I suck at this bit. Okay. So what I'm supposed to do is be good. There we go. I remember, yeah, in comparison, um, Dragon Age Origins, which is the one everyone raves about. I don't know. I struggled to get into that one for some reason. Maybe it was the slow opening. I found the opening a little bit slow, but maybe that's just me. Dragon Age 2 was the first one I played as well, so maybe ignore a character. Yeah, decline. Yeah, say what you want about some of the writing in those games, but they do generally do a really good job of writing characters, even if the plot. I wasn't a huge fan of the whole overarching plot. Felt very sort of we've done this before a million times, but it is BioWare's character writing that separates them from the rest, or should separate them from the rest. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think I was probably going into it with some different expectations. I imagine I wasn't. I was sort of like, oh, this is gonna be, it's gonna be like the other ones, but it's not so much like the other ones. Which is, I guess, why people love the first one so much because they're like, well, where did this go? You know, this bit's the garbage bit for when you're speedrunning it. Okay. Jump, 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 jump. Oh, not bad. Dwarves. Hmm. Yeah, you're right about that. It did give me the original one gave me the impression of a yeah, of a very lore focused campaign, um, which is good and all because as a person who plays D&D myself, I know I'm always very proud to show off all of my fun world building, but it did like you have to be aware when you're a writer that if you bog your story down with too much of that like set dressing, then you're not going to be invested in anything really that the game has to offer from there. Yeah, I mean, so they should be because it is an interesting world with some interesting characters in it. But it should be the characters that are the focus, not the world. Like the world in the end should just be the set dressing. Like no one remembers Crash Bandicoot for the world building. I remember it for this zany scientist with a giant N on his forehead. The iconic characters and that sort of thing. That's what they should be going for. No, I have. Yeah, I had a friend who was very big on Origins, and he was sort of, oh, this is a fantastic game. You should really play it. And I'm like, okay. And then again, I think, yeah, it's too much hype kills something for me. It's just the way I work. Some of the Origins characters aren't memorable. Okay. Even the party members, you mean? And it's important to have a credible threat, of course, but oh damn it, died right at the last phase. Important to have a memorable enemy, but not at the expense of the actual characters of your game, the actual main characters who should be surrounding you at all times. Okay, come on. So I beat Cortex, and then I got some levels to replay. Oh my goodness. Not paying attention again. I think yes, super evil playthroughs. That I mean that might have contributed a little bit to the forgettableness of some of them, but super evil playthroughs are always really interesting. It's a topic that fascinates me in video games as to why someone would include a super evil option in their game if the majority of people aren't going to play as super evil. But I think I sort of reasoned that the reason that they do this is because evil, it's the very option that it's there allows the player to sort of be like, I made my own choices. I'm my own individual player. Okay, this is the last round. He just fires green at me, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what those evil options should be there for, to sort of experiment with and to rest safe in the knowledge that you've played a good game that has all of these different choices in it, and allows the player to sort of express their individuality. So yeah, I just beat Crash Bandicoot in 2 hours and 8 minutes. But now we have to go back and get some more gems because I didn't get all the gems. What are we missing? So we're missing half of the clear gems, and we're missing one colored gem. So which colored gem am I missing first of all? The pink one. That's right, because we needed another colored gem to get this colored gem. So we'll see if I can do this one. And I also need to go back and collect a key from Jaws of Darkness, if I remember correctly. And thanks. It shows probably what that shows is that I've played far too much of this game. So I like these levels, but I think they improved them a bit in the sequels. No such thing. No, I'm glad you agree. I wouldn't let anyone tell me otherwise, to be honest. Like, no, I love playing Crash Bandicoot to the early hours of the morning, and you can't stop me. A Crash Bandicoot obsessive. Okay. So we need to get. I think I did all right last time. I don't think I missed any boxes. I think I literally just. So I need to not die, which is okay in this level. It's not too bad. And remember where that gem path is. There it is. Okay, so that's all. take us up here. Really like the attention to detail, you know. And good. I'd forgotten it doesn't make me go back down there. For a split second, I was having doubts. I was like, oh wait, do I have to go back down there with like a dead Aku Aku mask and still survive the rest of the level? But no, they're nice enough to put the end of the level there for you. Okay, so now we'll go back to the start of the game, and we'll just run back through all these other levels, collecting all the boxes. Okay, jungle rollers will be the first one. Fantastic. Okay. Feels like just 2 hours ago I was playing this level. The one thing that really makes you notice how good Naughty Dog did is that in my mind's eye, the jungle looks just as lush as it does in this remaster and the original. They really pushed the PlayStation 1 to its limits. There's some fascinating little documentaries and interviews out there that sort of show where they cut memory and like pulled the camera. Like the reason they chose certain camera angles was so that they could fit more beautiful stuff on the screen and keep Crash so dynamic and expressive because he's a wonderful main character. Crash. They did a much better job picking him than what is it, Willy the Wombat or whatever. Good old Bandicoot. These were the 3 boxes I missed last time. Would help if I could actually hit them, wouldn't it? Jump up. Okay. It's a very relaxed game and feel. Especially these early levels. The soundtrack is very nice. Some remastered tracks I do slightly prefer, just because the sounds are really nice, but other ones, I think they did add too many sort of cartoony honks and squeaks and that sort of thing. I quite liked the more jungly sort of stripped back sound of the original one. But to each their own. I know there's a lot of people who will only know this. Yeah, keep an eye. Absolutely. It is a really well done remaster. You just have to be aware of the couple of things that they did change. Just sort of the shape of Crash's hitbox. Some of the level requirements being easier, but if you want 100% in terms of achievements, you'll need to do the time trials, and the time trials in this are not fun, sadly. Okay, here's another gem. Blech. Good job. Yeah, I'm wondering now if I should play through if I should play through 2 and Warped on stream as well, because this is the one that's most special to me, the first one, and I'd love to play the original version of this one day, but for now, until I get a good video card, all I can do is this, which isn't a bad thing. I'm having a lot of fun here. See how much longer I can go for anyway. Two is my favorite. Yeah, two is a fantastic game. I think I just like 1 because, or 1 and 2 together. I think it's really hard to separate them, but they were basically the first games I played. Like I don't really think I understood what I was. I have very, very vague memories of holding a controller and playing this and not being able to do very much at all. except like walk around and maybe do the occasional stationary jump. So obviously, when I was that young, I didn't get very far, but I was always fascinated by it. Fantastic, fantastic games. And two certainly feels the most like refined. Like Naughty Dog got the formula to where they wanted it. And in the third one, there's a little bit of an excess of vehicle levels, which is not something I realized as a child, but something that you can sort of notice a bit more now. The motorcycle levels really aren't as fun as I remembered, especially after playing Crash Team Racing. Ooh, Crash Team Racing. Jump. Okay, now we'll go over this. Okay. Would help if I could jump and land on stuff. Because I remember when I got my when I got my PlayStation Portable, I remember Crash 2 was one of the first games that I bought, and I played that to absolute death on the PSP. I adored it. There is a hidden path back there. Do I want to take it? I don't know. I suspect maybe I did. Not enough lives. What do you? Yeah. I could always do with more, I guess. Actually, let's just check. Let's just go forwards and check. Help if I didn't do that. Hello. Oh. How many boxes? Let's leave that there for now. Just a little nervous, you see. Okay. Keep on moving. This one, I was going to say, does this one not move? So, chances are I'll have to go platform back through that to break that jump box. But that's okay. Yep, I will. Because, fortunately for me, this is not exactly a speed run. I like to think it's quick, but it's not speed. Okay. If you ever watched anyone speed run the original Crash 100%, it is truly a sight to behold. I've watched a few of Tipped, Tebt. I think that's that's his name. He does some fantastic runs. He's the master of this game, at least the original. Oh my goodness. That's why I'm not doing so well. Okay. Let's do that again. This time do it good. Alright. So yeah, maybe I'll 100% the first island, and then maybe I'll have to call it quits for now. Cause we'll see. Let's see how I go. "98 lives." Yeah, the horror. I'm close. I'm close to game over. I don't know. I don't know how I'll manage from here. I'm on the edge of my seat. Oh yeah. So if you want to get all the boxes, you can't. You have to smash that one, don't you? Because otherwise, you skip all these challenging obstacles, but you end up missing that box. So there's no point taking that route anyway. So I was right in doing that. Okay. So I'm all good now. Hello, kind tribesman. Goodbye. I did like how in Crash Twinsanity, well, in a lot of the later Crash games actually, they brought back those native tribesman models. I think they even put it in that Skylanders Crash stuff. Now, one thing I am confused about is now that Crash is owned by Microsoft, technically, I wonder what they're going to do with him. It's going to be strange. It's a good thing I got a PC as well, I suppose. Ruin it. Yes, that's probably right. They had a nice comeback. They had a nice comeback with 4 and with the remasters. But, oh, whatever. We'll let that go down the drain again. I hope that they still put them on PlayStation, but it's not a likely possibility. It's just something I can hope for. Hey, did I miss one? Where did I miss one? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's just shocking. Where did it go? Wasn't an obvious one I missed, was there? Apparently there was. Okay. Well, we'll just have to do this level again. But we'll run back through the other levels before we do this one again. Boulders is done. Do upstream now. Yeah, I'm waiting for. I'm still hoping and praying basically beyond hope at this point, but that one day Sony will either endorse a new 3D platformer series, or that they'll just bring back something like Sly, which had such character and wit and heart that it's a shame it's not still available easily to charm new people. It was a charming series, that's the right word for it. It's charming. Many, many fond memories. I like the gargling sound as well that the piranhas make when you pass by them. It's just it's neat little details like that that make games like this stand out a bit more from other titles. Don't die. Yeah, 100%. They've already done some really good 3D platformers for the PS5, which is why I'm a little bit heartened, because they've done Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and they've got the new Sackboy, and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping those sold well enough to encourage people to encourage Sony to take some more chances on older genres like that. I hope and pray anyway, but we'll see. All we can do is wait and see again. It'd be a huge shame if they didn't, because I feel like in terms of like a new Sly game would at least look stellar. They definitely have the technology there to do it, and they could make the hub worlds and stuff seamless and that sort of thing. Okay. There was a split second of worry there. I'm like, wait, I missed 2 boxes. But no, there's an extra section. There we go. That's a bit of run through that level. Woohoo. Just in general, I kind of miss the heyday of platformers, when you could sort of have that with just lots of mascot 3D platformers coming out all the time and all trying out sort of new and wacky ideas. But I think I just need to dip my toes into the indie 3D platformers as well, a bit more like Demon Turf, which has been on my list for a while. I have yet to play. But yeah, those starting to sound like a grumpy old person, but PS2 days, that was really where it was at, wasn't it? Yeah, facts. Because yeah, there was just a little bit more daring in and amongst the AAA industry because we hadn't quite worked out what worked yet and what didn't. Exactly. Just yeah, exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. Yeah, everyone's looking at the money to succeed, and I wish we didn't live in a world where that sort of thing was essential. Where games weren't made for profit, but were instead made simply because people had a love of the medium, and that was the way things worked. But yes, unfortunately, yes, games for many companies are just such a big investment now that they can't help but do that sort of thing. They can't help but look at it as a formula, like with Blizzard, who are really a despicable company, but their releasing of the new Diablo as a mobile game, I'm sure they've polished that to absolute perfection in terms of all of the horrible algorithms and money grubbing schemes that it has wrapped up in it, and that's all formula, and that's a huge shame. Yeah, a bit sad, really. That well, even I remember when mobile games used to be a little bit more interesting as well, but now every time I hop on the mobile store, which is admittedly infrequently, it's really hard to find anything that's sort of worth any kind of time investment because it's all just laden with a bit of sort of evil money grubbing microtransaction sort of stuff. Which yeah, I mean, it's a huge shame because this is for me. Crash Bandicoot is what the game should be really. Um, it's simple. It's fun. It has a core purpose, clever design, replayable levels. And I know that yeah, it's been superseded in some ways by not just later games but later franchises and that sort of thing. But it gets harder and harder to see some games like this. Man, I sound old and complaining. Though yeah, you're right. PS2 was about experimentation and integrity. Yeah, they it was just so much sort of putting you just taking a leap of faith. Putting yourself and your company out there. Companies willing to hedge their bets and try new things, which is why there are so many videos made about those eras, about like weird and funky games that people made, the whole big companies made, because they just didn't know what would work and they were willing to take a chance. And now, so much, yeah, you don't see so much of that, which big shame. Yeah, Forbidden Siren. I think I brought that up in my. I read a little article on it. I think I brought that up that you wouldn't see that. You just would not see a game like that made today because it's so esoteric. It's so weird um, that it just stands to reason that they just wouldn't exist. Which vast, huge shame. Because that's the kind of thing that the industry really needs. Because that's how you get cool new trends and innovations, and like you just need more people to be willing to take those innovative plunges, and then everyone else feels a bit more comfortable with it. But sometimes it feels like only small teams have the freedom to do that. Um, I've been meaning to play this second Psychonauts game. That's what I'd love to play because Double Fine still makes really smartly written games. Like that's the kind of thing I love. Difference, yeah. 100%. The presence of the cult classic is a marvel, and yeah, it is much harder. That's an excellent point to find cult classics in and amongst PlayStation 4 titles, um, which is uh, a shame. Um, it's the kind of game it's a powerful platform, um, yeah, the internet certainly plays a big part in, but as you say, the creativity versus profit mentality definitely affects a lot of those big greedy corporations because I'm sure many of them, pretty cliche to say, but many of the people who are working at the top level in those companies won't be playing the games. They won't be playing any games. They won't be making or involved in that process at all. They're looking at broad industry trends. They're like, how can we replicate that and emulate off that success? I think the problem is that when you do something like that, yeah, when you are chasing after a trend, you've kind of already lost. Like by the time your game releases, um, no one's really gonna care about it unless it's genuinely fantastic, and the chances of that are fairly slim, really. So if you're chasing after trends, it's kind of too late, you know. Um, if you're in it solely for the money, that sort of thing, if that makes sense, I think yeah, you've sort of you've come aboard a bandwagon too late. All right, do not fall to my death. Ah, it's cloud platforming. Yeah, a game doesn't have to present a new idea, but it has to be done well. Because if you think about it, really, ideas are a dime a dozen, and I mean, most people will have played, made a game sort of at least relatively similar to yours, but execution is where it counts. So if you have a simple game like exactly, exactly, um, as long as you have your really strong core concept and you understand the limitations of the game that you're making, you don't try and add too much in. Then you can make a really strong game, and if you're willing to experiment a little bit, then that's cool too. But I think, yeah, people who are in game development solely to chase trends and make money are going to find that there's not very much in it for them. You know, tricky stuff. Game development. I'd like to try my hand at it one day properly, but we'll see. Okay, another gem down. Hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're a fan of the like, that's something I see a lot of people complaining about. In certain genres is that when a developer tries to sort of make their niche not in a niche anymore, then you're like you're homogenizing the gaming market, and it's not at all rewarding. And you should be, yeah, I don't know. I'm speaking as a single person, not a company, obviously, but you should be making games for the love of the medium, and I understand that yes, money has to be a consideration, but it shouldn't be the only consideration. I think it's sad that it is for a lot of companies. Yeah, and you can immediately tell when someone has written a book for the money, because it's stuffed with bad cliches. Like there's no people have they're looking at things that are popular and emulating it, but with no yeah, there's no love or care or anything to it. There's just nothing. You know, it's clearly a soulless husk of a work. It's like asking an AI to produce a work of art. It can spit out all the right words, but it doesn't understand the meaning of them. And I think that's what happens when you have someone who is intensely money focused. try and do something like that. Yeah, no integrity or respect for the medium that they're working with. That should come first. You have to understand the rules of the medium before you start claiming your work as a masterpiece or something, or expecting it to make lots of money. Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, even Crash Bandicoot went through that phase. I think, sort of in the late the late 2000s. I think, sort of where it's clear that the developers were just being forced to sort of cash in on the good name of the games that had come before. And not to say that those games were necessarily bad. They're just you could tell that they hadn't been made with the same kind of respect. And I guess, again, that's another thing that worries me about the remake of Silent Hill 2. Is there going to be integrity and respect in that remake? Is that what Konami is going to let them do, or I don't know? Because to me, it's very clear that Konami is uninterested in anything but money. Uh, like they are that is all they are about these days. Um, and I don't know if they're not the great publisher and developer that they once were, and I don't know if they ever will be again. Yes, that's true that Konami is not doing that. Yes, so there is a little bit of hope because Shattered Memories was good, um, but yeah, I'm just very aware that even with Konami's hands relatively off, people are still capable of making. Oh, I missed the crate again. It must be hidden somewhere. It's all right. Um, what was I going to say? That yeah, that they still ended up making Homecoming. Um, so I don't know. I'm just tentative. Concerned. Up the creek. Yeah, they really do. Konami's a troublemaker, that's for sure. Yeah, the fact that they can't be entrusted with their own IPs really says something. Yeah, we could release a line of pachinko machines to coincide with the release of Silent Hill 2 remake. Also, we'll be releasing some extra costume bundles for James Sunderland, $10 each. Shouldn't be giving them ideas. You know they would, though. You know they would. James, honey, why are you dressed like that? Yeah, look at us. Rich as anything. No time flat. That is something that interests me, though. I don't know why there's so many games that are like, we're going to add these items that you can get in the game, but you can like buy them early. Like that was one of the things I didn't really understand about Resident Evil, the new ones, because you can like buy your way to sort of easy victory, and it's like, well, Doesn't that defeat the point of, oh my goodness, of playing the game? That's just aren't your style, James. Yeah. I told you, I warned you, but you wouldn't listen. That's better. If they ever made a Silent Hill mobile game, you know that they'd have you grinding for like new swim shorts in Silent Hill. But yeah, Silent Hill is a franchise like that happening to it is really sad because it originally stood for some kind of artistic integrity. It had, you know, that kind of thing in it. Oh yeah, this is legit. Seems reasonable. Cool. Another gem. I can do this. Just the sad thing is that yeah, you just know that yeah, modern Konami absolutely would do something like that if Silent Hill 2 was released today. That they'd be like yeah. And I'm sure they would have made not just Born from a Wish, but they would have made other little DLC campaigns as well. Just just becomes Maria going shopping. Yeah, I thought Born from a Wish was absolutely fantastic when I played it. Oh god, yeah, no, don't even. That's gonna give me nightmares. That idea. I guess that's Dead by Daylight now too, isn't it? Pyramid Head is in that. Oops, I was supposed to go into that one. Damn you, Konami. Yeah, that's the reason why I bought Dead by Daylight actually, because they put Heather in it. I wasn't so much interested in Pyramid Head because he's in everything, but the fact that they had new Silent Hill content in any game was still pretty cool, even if I don't really play the game at all anyway. Not really into multiplayer games, I guess. Play them with friends, but not by myself. Older level. I've heard that they're making Dead by Daylight a bit better again. Apparently, not that I ever played it when it was like supposedly at its peak, but apparently the new stuff is meant to be good. But I wouldn't know. But you can see what just how prevalent Pyramid Head is, and why the creator of Pyramid Head probably just wishes he never made him because he's just everywhere. And shouldn't be about sort of over exposure. It should be about dread and restraint. And the problem with using Pyramid Head everywhere is that, well, all of a sudden he's not scary. Like I really liked the original design of Pyramid Head where he's not really muscly, he's just like a guy in like this giant funky hat, and that's creepy because he's just like this regular guy, but now he's like all buff and giant and muscly, sort of this unrealistic, impossible figure. Maybe that's part of the problem I have with it. DLC of Eddie eating pizza. Okay, I'd play that, to be honest. If they made a Silent Hill 2 VR and they had Eddie eating pizza, I'd be right in there. Be awesome. Although not actually. Konami, if you're listening, don't actually do that. I'm just kidding. Just in case, Yeah, it's the... Yep. Have you seen the... someone made a really cool little Silent Hill 2 VR concept. I thought that was cool. You can see it on YouTube. It'll never get made, but... Original MP3. No, that's exactly what you need, though. You need the original MP3. You need that feeling of, like, being immersed in 2001. Okay, was that all of the second island done then? I think it was. Yeah, it's easy. I don't know why anyone complains about this game. As I said, this game is like an obsession of mine, so I played a lot of it. Apparently, I've forgotten where one box is at least. So the most helpful saying on the internet when you need help with a game, why don't you just try getting good? Which is sometimes true. I mean, sometimes you just need more practice, but other times you're like, well, actually, been trying for like an hour, so like, is that not enough practice? I'm like, no. You should be playing non-stop like I do. Yeah, of course. No one ever thinks of practice. No one ever thinks of trying it again. No one. Oh, I forgot you can't even jump on those guys. Oops, didn't even see him coming. Still just a few lives left. I think I'll be alright. Yeah. It's like, just learn the combat. It's like, well, could you give me a tip to help me learn the combat? Do you know? It'd be much appreciated. I think, I was trying to learn how to play. I think it was Soul Calibur a bit better, and someone was just like, look at the moves list. And I'm like, okay. Thanks. I already knew that existed, but thank you. It's like, what do you think I've already tried? I want some like general gameplay tips. What should I do? What shouldn't I do? Yeah. Ah, the internet. Just a bastion of helpful advice. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of people who play fighting games are like, well, I put in the hundreds of hours to learn every character's to learn my character's like frame info, and then I'm just like, well, okay. I'm just looking for some general advice. Like, I don't want to be like, yeah, I don't want to be god tier or anything. I just want to know how to actually play the game. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of lovely people who play fighting games, but at the same time, yeah, there's sort of seems to be a bit of a toxic, like, well, you have to learn the same way I did, which is through painstaking trial and error, which also, again, works, but sometimes you just want some general help from someone more experienced than you. Oh, man. I missed this one again. Okay. I'll come back to this level as well. Oh, yeah, now we got the gem. We can actually do this one. Okay. Yeah, that's a huge problem with like, because there's a kind of like there's a skill level, right, where you're like an absolute beginner. You have no idea of any of the characters' combos and strings and that sort of thing. But then there's like that sort of intermediate point where you're like good enough to sort of play against randoms, but like not good enough to play against like the random pros, that'll inevitably pop up. And you look for help to try and combat them or find friendly people to play as, and everyone's just like, well, you should be playing at the top level, which is it's not very welcoming. It's very intimidating, actually. Yeah, because yeah, fighting games really are sort of for a lot of people this sort of do or die. If you're not playing at top rank, what are you doing playing anyway? Why aren't you trying for the best? 100%. You should always in those kinds of games. You should always just play as who you're comfortable as. Doesn't matter if anyone insults you about them or not. Oh damn it! I was the like. There's an online stigma about. I don't know if you played Tekken 7. But there's an online stigma about Lucky Chloe, and sometimes I really enjoy playing as her. But everyone's like, no, Lucky Chloe is so annoying. And I'm like, it's like I have fun playing as her, so like, what's the big deal? Nice, yep. So you're more into the 2D fighters. I'm more of a 3D fighter myself. The only 2D fighter I'm really into was I got really heavily into Injustice 2 for a while. I thought that was a lot of fun. But I'm not very good at Street Fighter. That's something I wanted to try. Is it still on sale? I might have to pick that up on Steam. There was a sale going on, wasn't there? Okay, just checking if there's any boxes back this way. Soul Calibur's always been one of my favorites too. No, this is the start of the level, isn't it? Yeah, that's some fun. Ah, that's alright. There'll be another one in like a month or two, so I'm not worried about that. I have enough games to play anyway. Nice. Yep. No, it's nice and cheap, wasn't it? Good old Steam. Okay. Ouch. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a good and a bad feeling, isn't it? You're like, oh, now I've got like too many games to play, but at the same time, it's like it's nice, kind of nice to have that feeling of there's always some new thing around the corner to play. What game are you playing to buy? I still miss. What did I miss? One again. I can't go back really, can I? I'll try to go back and see. Oh yeah, I'm not much of a Dynasty Warriors person, to be honest. I don't think I've ever really played any of them. They were big though too during the PS2 days, weren't they? Dynasty Warriors. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with playing stupid fun games. I mean, it's kind of what this is for me, you know. Should never be ashamed for liking a particular kind of game. I don't think. Yeah, this was a good decision. It's always nice when you sort of just know, like, that you've got a big game to look forward to, yeah? Something special around the corner. Okay. So many branching paths this level, which is the main problem. I think that's where I must have missed one of those boxes. I'll go right back to the start. Just make sure I didn't miss anything. There's nothing like... Exactly. Just looking forward to, yeah, sitting down and playing a big old game. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay, and then what's down this left path here? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I need to go back this way, yeah? Oh my goodness. Rubbish. Okay. I'll just go back this way, yeah? Can't believe I died there. I know, it's because I haven't really had the chance to get any more lives. Got all those. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Bounce. Oh my goodness. Not going well this level, is it? If I ever was to speedrun this, I think I'll need to draw myself a map. Okay, so we'll go left this time. Those enemies appear twice in this one level, and never again. I think it's cool when I used to love finding stuff like that when I was younger, like assets that were used like just once, and I sort of wondered, did they ever wondered if that character ever had a bigger role or something, but I shall never know, I suppose. Seriously? Okay. Yes, you need to hit the exclamation mark box to open this stuff. Yeah, still missing. No, now we're missing 2. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of fun, right? To sort of see, yeah, the developers were like, oh, we can add another one of those in for a new challenge. So there's Jaws of Darkness. So I think I'm missing. Should be missing. Okay, missing 5. Okay. Well, so I don't want to play Stormy Ascent. Yeah, classic. Just running through and checking what I have left to do. So, yeah, got that one. That one. That one. That one. Those ones are all done. Okay, so, yeah. Heavy machinery. So it's just that one level on the first island and a couple of levels here. So I'll do this level. I'll try and 100% it. And then maybe I'll finish. We'll see. I need to get lunch. Okay. Jump, jump. The interesting thing about this game is that the camera is fixed, but in Crash 4 you can move it a little bit, and they hit a lot of boxes that way, so you have to like check using the right stick all the time. Crash 4 loves hiding boxes. Okay, so I missed a Cortex token in this one. I'd like to know where that Cortex token is. If I don't see it, then I'll just finish it up next time, I think. A couple of them are hidden really well. No, wasn't something like that. I'm on the pillars. Okay. 1 to on a token. What I do really like about this game as well is the way that the camera points really naturally and guides you towards certain areas, as well as the lighting as well encourages that. This means you're slightly more paranoid about like maybe missing a box or something. Okay, so there was a box up there, so I'm glad I got that one. Oh yeah, this is a really helpful bit to have invincibility on. Yep. Okay. Just being very careful here. Just making sure that there's nothing up there. Because you know they'd be hiding this stuff in devious places. Okay, nothing up there then. I flattened them again in the same spot. Oh. I'm always too hasty with those. Checkpoint. Okay. I have a sneaking suspicion. I may be proved wrong on this point. Just want to check. Thought so. When you blow up the TNT by spinning the snake into him, it blows that thing away too. Although am I still missing? I'm still missing one though, aren't I? Yeah, I am. Oh well. Probably a good place to finish anyway. Though for the life of me, I can't remember where it is. It's not up the sides here. No, that's a good place to finish, I think. I'll be able to easily polish off the rest of this stuff next time. Yeah, so maybe I'll start next stream with finishing this off the last 11%. And then I'll segue that into some pathologic. No, very good. Okay. Save that. No, it's a good run of progress. I just obviously forgotten where some of the hidden items are in this game. It means I haven't been playing it enough. Okay. Well, thanks for stopping by. Stay safe. And yeah, catch you next stream, which will be probably in a couple of days, I'd say. Thank you. See you later.